All right, good afternoon, gentlemen. Welcome to our second Zoom chat. And we have three special guests with us this week. We have Cody Hawkins, the head coach of the Junior A Mounties, and two of the leaders of that club, Matt McKee and Ethan Olson. And they're going to share a little bit of their stories with us and what it takes to get to that top level. So I think we're going to start with Matt. Is that right, Cody?
Either way, I don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I'll start off.
Okay. So I'd like to introduce Matt McKee. I was lucky enough to coach Matt at Calgary Field, what seems like a million years ago, and I've watched him grow, and tremendous player. And one thing that you'll find is all of these guys have great character and have a team first attitude, and you really need that to get to the very top. So Matt, go ahead and away we go.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, I'm Matt. I played for the Knights growing up. So I actually didn't get to play any A ball until I got to midget my second year when they made Hawks. So I think that really kind of drove me. I always wanted to get to an A team. I was really hoping I could excel with the Hawks. And that kind of brought me to get drafted by the Tips. And then I played 2 years there. Became the assistant there in my second year. I was really passionate about leading that team. We made the playoffs for the first time since 2008 or 9, I believe. And then I got picked up by the Mounties for the Minto in 2018.
Right.
And
just keep going, you're fine.
Okay. And that was kind of a dream come true. I always looked up at the Junior A guys like they were kind of mythical. And then I got picked up to go to Minto when I was 18, just graduating year. And it was just dream come true. And then I got a spot the next year.
Were you drafted for Junior A?
Nope, undrafted. Undrafted. Junior A. Yeah. And
I'll just touch up on that real quick. Being from the coaching staff, Matty was playing on the Silver Tips, and like he said, he was undrafted. So this kind of goes a long way with what a character built player can do for himself by being a leader on that team. That was something that we and our scouts saw, and we were able to bring Matty up and kind of plug and play him into our defense because he's a yes sir, no sir kind of guy. Very gritty player, hard-nosed, and will do anything for his teammates. He's also a very tough kid and very, very willing to fight for his teammates, literally. So Matty being that type of player, I think it goes without saying that character is kind of the topic that we're touching on here with Matty, that it goes a long way. Being undrafted, he's now in his second full year with the Mounties, third including the time that he spent up with us, and now he's serving as an assistant captain as in his fifth year of lacrosse. So going from undrafted to a letter on a very prestigious ball club is a very big deal.
Yeah, and just touching up on that, like that's always just been driving me, was playing that junior B ball for most of my junior or minor career rather. I've just always been like a super driven kid, and I don't need a whole lot to get me fired up.
So what age did you start, Matt?
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. What age did you start at?
5. I started mini take.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you do have some field experience with Calgary Field?
Yeah, I played Calgary Field growing up, and then I kind of got out of the field scene when I got into high school and started playing football. But I got 1 year with the Mustangs when I was 17, and then I got 1 year with Elevate, the travel team, when I was 14.
Multi-sport athlete. Did you play other sports as well along the way?
Yeah, I pretty much played every sport you could in school. And then football, obviously, and lacrosse. So.
Hey, Matt,
you started out kind of on a B team. Have you ever tried out for higher level teams, travel teams, Team Alberta? Have you ever been cut from a team? Has that made any impact on you?
Yeah, definitely. I tried out for Team Alberta 4 or 5 years. I made a red shirt once. Thanks, Al. That definitely fired me up, seeing all those the guys a year older than me that played on Team Alberta when I was redshirting, seeing them get drafted, it kind of made it real for me. I always wanted to prove a lot of people wrong for not taking me on any of those teams.
So that's cool, Matt. So it sounds like you got cut from some high level teams a few times. And what did you do to improve, or you didn't stop applying or stop trying out for top level teams? What did you do?
I just put in that much more work. I'd hit the wall a lot more. I'd get running a lot more. Honestly, just like that fired me up a lot more than making the team ever would have.
Did you play summer games? Yeah,
so I played summer games along with Ethan here. That was in Pee Wee, I believe, or Bantam.
I think it was Bantam.
Bantam, yeah, right.
It was Bantam.
Right. And that was a great. We actually have 6 or 7 guys from that team that are on the Mounties this year. And that was about the only high-level team I played for until I got to the Mounties.
And with that being said, Maddie, like I think what we're trying to touch on here is like the work ethic side of things when you're saying that, you just work hard, kind of elaborating on the characteristics that you have that have allowed you to kind of stick with your sport and stick with trying to compete at a high level. Because I think a lot of young guys kind of drop off near that bantam midget level when they're not exactly succeeding the way that they think they should succeed or their parents think they should succeed. And what kind of characteristics is it that you have that has allowed you to push forward, not only in your lacrosse life, but in your day-to-day life? Because I know you don't go to college like a lot of these kids. And last week they spent their Zoom call talking to 3 D1 caliber guys that have gone through the system and or going through the system.
Yeah.
And Maddie's a blue collar kid that just his work ethic is what's going to get him through life and successful in life, and kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So all that like trying out and failing and just losing a lot, because I played for the Knights. We tended to be on the losing end. That just built a lot of resiliency in me, I think. And that builds a lot of work ethic, which you can carry over to everyday life. And like school is not the only avenue to get that structure in your life. You just need to be a little bit more self-disciplined, I guess, when you're not going to college or anything, and you're just working jobs, getting to that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's there's lots of ways to skin the cat, and many successful people have taken paths on. You look at Bill Gates and Steve Jobs with Microsoft and Apple. They both dropped out of college. So last I heard they were doing okay. Not quite as good as Ethan, but okay. So there's a million ways. And you talked about the resiliency, and that's something that is really important. And it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. And that's something that I've seen from Matt for many years, and I have really respected, and that's very important. So when it comes to the taking a tough situation, what are the 3 keys that make you succeed the next time for yourself?
Learning to lose and deal with failure, it sets you that much farther ahead of everybody else, the same age as you. It's honestly just about finding something that drives you, finding your driving force, whether you want to play junior A, you want to play senior A, pro, whatever. I've always had a desire from like age 6, 7 to play pro. Playing junior B and minor B, it seems a little bit unrealistic, but you just got to have like a big goal and never stop trying to the goal. That's about all I've done.
Awesome.
I'll speak for Matty for a quick second here because he's not very good at talking about himself. But a guy like Matty, and when we're talking about character and how it kind of develops into your own life just outside of lacrosse, because Matty's gotten where he is by straight up just not letting off the gas, and that's as simple as you can put it for a guy like Matt. But I've gotten just recently at the beginning before quarantine, I got a phone call from somebody asking me for basically my best character guy to give a job to. Matty McKee was the first guy that I called. He steps into a $60,000 job right off the bat just because of his character alone was the only reason that I had asked Matty to take this job for this man and put my name on the line. And Matty backed it up, went there and did a great job until being laid off because of COVID. When that happened, my own work, I work as a bouncer at a bar because Matty's a tough guy and I love having him behind me in bad situations. I got Matty a job and we still work together to this day, side by side. So not only am I his coach, but we are also coworkers and very good friends. But that relationship stems from the character that he has and the character that I have that brought us together and allows me to speak highly of this kid in any given situation. I would put my neck on the line for him. And I think that's very important for you guys to understand that your character in lacrosse goes a long way, and the who you know kind of topic of in the work world is very true, and that's why you got to really make sure that you're treating people the way you want to be treated and putting your best foot forward and working hard and never stemming away from who you are, and it'll turn into more opportunity than just lacrosse moving forward.
Hey, Matt, those are just amazing words from coming from your coach and coworker, so that's, yeah, I mean, you should be awfully proud of yourself. When I first met you, I think you were maybe bantam-ish. Anyways, you were very quiet, and you were a little bit tentative, so you weren't super confident in lacrosse or yourself, and you've gone from there to playing on a junior A team. You've got a good job, and you're wearing a letter now. So you're an assistant captain, or you're a captain on this team. Tell us a little bit about that journey where you were kind of a little bit unsure, a bit tentative. How did you get to where you are?
Honestly, I built up a lot of confidence in junior B. Playing those 2 years there, it really helped me out. Just like show myself that I was a good player and a good leader. Getting that A in my second year of playing for the Tips, it really boosted my confidence and kind of gave me a little bit of swagger. Just having putting all that effort into my first 2 years in junior, it paid off a lot. And I just had a great couple of years there, and that just gave me a lot of confidence there, basically.
Wow, that's awesome. So, what we've got is we've got a kid that hasn't always played A. He's played B through minor a little bit, through junior career, and that's just given him a whole bunch of confidence and some skills to carry forward. That's a fantastic job, Matthew.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add, Matt?
Don't give up.
Great advice. Great advice. So we're going to let Ethan take the reins here, and I've known Ethan since he was 10 years old. My youngest son played against him, and Ethan has always been a heck of a player and a real gutty guy. Was never blessed with size beyond the age group, but was always at the top of the heap, always one of the top players, and he's got a great story as well. So Ethan, please go ahead.
Hi everybody, I'm Ethan, and it's kind of my story to like junior A from when I was a little bit younger, playing Hornets, and growing up. Like a lot of the years, my dad and Tim Foster, Ben Foster's dad's, they were our coaches through most of the years, and they kind of butted heads a lot, I thought, growing up. And most of the time, Ben and I and like a lot of the other guys on our team, we kind of just had to stick with them and just play our best, like even kind of just free balling, going out there and just doing everything that we can to play and getting wins over the Axemen. Is something that we always tried to do. And yeah, so like moving in like further down the road, like after midget and coming in, going into junior, I got drafted to Chill and played my first year junior in the Chill. And going into junior for me, it was a little bit different of a transition, a lot different, like type of lacrosse. Everybody was big and strong, and it was hard to get into that style of lacrosse. And I found a lot of like junior B, like it wasn't really like, I honestly didn't really like playing junior B, just like the style of like play and all that stuff. Like it kind of got my confidence up playing with like bigger bodied guys. And then I got called up to play a game with the Mounties in my first year junior when I was playing with the Chill, and that went really well for me. A couple of the other guys on my team, Ben, Torrin, we went up and played in Edmonton. So that was kind of like, I felt that was like my first kind of show into the Mounties to try and get myself in. And then the next year, I made the Mounties with those guys too. So I feel like a big thing for me and my kind of story is always kind of playing with the same couple people, Ben and Torn, like those guys, like we kind of have a little bit of chemistry together. We kind of grew together as players from a very young age, and that helped me going through my path too, and just always just trying to be better than those guys. And same thing with them on me, just we kind of drove each other and pushed each other to get to where we wanted to be. So I'd say one piece of advice would just be like, find somebody that you can compete with and just make each other better. Just even in like practice and everyday life, just always go out there and try to make somebody better, and they'll do the same for you. And that's the people you want to surround yourself with to achieve success. So
tell the guys what age you started, and you've had a pretty good career. You did make a lot of top teams growing up. You were very successful from early on. And talk about your successes and your failures and how you bounced back from those.
Yeah. So when I was first trying out for Team Alberta, I remember, I think it was my first year at Pee Wee. I got cut from that team. I don't even think I moved on to the next tryouts. I was super upset about that. But, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to bounce back, try out next year and just give it my all. And then I made the team. So I feel like that was one like defining moment that kind of brought my confidence level up even more to play and just go out there and just try and not really care about making mistakes. Well, like not care, but not worry about doing something wrong because you're not sure, or playing timid or anything like that. So like making those teams kind of helped me out and grow as a player. And like Maddie said, team Calgary, like Alberta Summer Games, like that was another bigger team that we were a part of that just kind of helped us grow as players and kind of be able to be like a leader on a more top tier team, which gave you the ability to be more confident as a player and in your teammates and in yourself to achieve success in those ways. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Ethan, what round were you drafted?
Six, maybe 5. Fifth.
But just speaking on that, Ethan is the captain, the new captain of our Junior A Mounties team. Okay, so our captain previous to Ethan was a 10th round draft pick. Our current 2 assistants, one's Ben Foster and one's Justin Morgan. Justin Morgan was an 8th round draft pick. So another kind of moral of the story with these character kids is drafted, undrafted, late draft picks. These are the kids that are becoming the leaders of our team as well. There's also players that we draft. You guys spoke with Gary's son last week, who's also going to be one of our leaders moving forward in his final year. A kid like KP comes into the league, he's expected to do exceptional things. And there's a handful of kids like that every couple of years that are just expected to do amazing things. And they work just as hard, if not harder, than guys like Ethan and Matt. And that's why we'll make them get those D1 scholarships and work at a very high level all the time. Guys like Ethan and Maddie, when they're drafted, not necessarily do they have the same expectations as those first, second, third round draft picks. But because of their resiliency, because of the little things that they do, and the teammates that they are and the character that they bring, that's kind of what put those players on a pedestal for me as a coach that allows me to put my team in their hands and for them to be the leaders.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear. It needs to be very clear that Matt and Ethan, they're working unbelievably hard, and both of them have made tremendous gains in strength. Ethan hasn't talked about his journey in the NCAA. He's a player and a student athlete at Maryville, and has played as a freshman and scored goals as a freshman, and we'll let Ethan tell you about that a little bit. But each of you, how much weight and strength have you gained since you came into junior? You're both incredibly stronger than you were. So tell the guys about that. Matt, how much weight have you gained since you first stepped on the floor as a silver tip?
I've put on 40 pounds since then.
And look at his neck and look at his jawline, and it is abundantly clear how strong he is. And so these guys are working incredibly hard as well. Ethan, your strength has just been another really cool thing to watch from when you first stepped on with the chill. So how much stronger are you? How much have you gained weight? What's your increased deadlift, as an example?
So I was probably about 130 pounds when I first got into junior. Now I weigh about 170 pounds. So about 40 pounds too. And a lot of that too is just like growing up and like filling out a little bit. But yeah, like when I first was in the chill, I could probably deadlift probably around 250 pounds.
What could you bench and squat?
Bench then was probably like 135, 150 pounds around there. I'm not really too sure. Squat was probably around 225 about for one. And then like now I can bench 280. I trap bar deadlift like 425 and squatted. I did like probably about 380 now.
So some pretty massive gains, and these guys, all the guys that get to the level that these two are at, they all work incredibly hard, and that's something that even as an 8-year-old, when I first saw Ethan, that really stood out to me how hard he worked, and the same with Matt. So can you tell us about your NCAA experience, because that's pretty cool too?
Yeah, so I grew up playing Elevate field, like the travel program. So I played that for 4 years up until I left. So I started when I was about, I think 15, I think was my first year. Might have been 16. I'm not too sure, but yeah. So basically, you just go out and you play for like you start in August. You go to around mid-November. It's kind of almost the same length, a little bit shorter as like a normal like fall ball session in university. So that's kind of how they like to market it after, is like what it would actually be kind of like in a university setting, like 2-hour practices. You go out in and out, you're doing your thing, you're getting up and down the field. They kind of run it like fast paced, like that style. And then you go to a tournament in the end of November for the weekend or whatever. And all these coaches are here watching you. So coaches will be watching you for 4 years before you're old enough for them to like give you an offer or whatever. Maryville was a pretty new school, so I think they only got to see me play one time when I was down there, maybe 2 years. And then yeah, so they just kind of reached out and contacted me. There's a couple of guys from Elevate that went down before. If you guys know Isaac Winnekers and Declan Mulholland and Jaden Frazier. He's from Saskatoon though, so I don't know if you guys know him, but they're from the same program, and they reached out to me and Justin and Ben and Matt Martin from the Mounties as well. And we all kind of went down and toured the school and just kind of thought, yeah, I could spend 4 years playing lacrosse and doing school here for sure. This is something that I'd like to do. So then we all got our offers and went to school there. And yeah, another thing is you get down to school and you just kind of do as you're told and get your schoolwork done and do everything to 100%. Like, you can't really be lazy in the school aspect of it, or else you'll fall behind and be stressed out about, oh, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. for a lift or whatever, but I also got a 6-page paper due. Like, you got to be able to balance school and lacrosse and hanging out with your buddies on the weekend very well. You can't let yourself get behind. And that's another thing that I kind of pride myself in, is just doing everything to like the best I can, like my schoolwork and lacrosse, because I like to get all my stuff done before the weekend. Like, that was kind of my goal, and just get everything done before their due dates and keep myself ahead of the game so I could keep getting work and doing it as it comes.
What do you take down there, Ethan?
I'm a business administration major.
And, we spoke to your coach when he was up a couple of years ago. They're pretty excited to have you, and they give you a pretty good role as a freshman, didn't they?
Yeah. I went down there and I started off playing attack, and then I got switched to midfield, and then I got switched back to attack, and then that's kind of where I started to excel again. And then I had one start at attack, and then we all got sent home because of the pandemic here. So I couldn't really get to go another game or anything. We were supposed to have like 4 games over spring break, and we ended up only having 1. So played 6 games when we were down there.
Yeah. And pretty excited to get back. There's and it looks like there might be a season. So
looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, nice. So one of the neat things you guys both talked about being on Team Calgary, you get to meet different people, and at university you meet different teammates, and at the Mounties you get to play with guys you've never played with before. So can you each tell us a little bit about some guys that you've met that really surprised you? It's like, oh, I play against him and I don't like playing against him, but he's a good guy. So tell us some of that, guys that you've met from different places and just general thoughts.
I'd say like a big one for me would probably be Levi Anderson. Playing against him kind of sucked. He was pretty good at what he did. exceptional. Actually, he was really good. And but like off the field, like we would hang out and work out together, and like he was always there to like push me and make me the best I could be, and I really pride him for that, because he was great at just being a leader to me and someone I could look up to.
And
so one guy in specific that I could pick up.
Yeah, and who's your favorite teammate down at school that's from the farthest away?
Favorite teammate from down at school. I'd probably say there's this one guy. His name was Zach Stelzer. He was from St. Louis, actually, but far from where I live, I guess, still. So he was a workhorse. Like, he didn't play much. Like, he was a captain, then he wasn't a captain because coach didn't like him as a captain or anything. But I don't know. Every time I went down to the field to go and shoot, like after practice or something, he would always be working on both his hands and just running around taking shots. And he'd be in the weight room and he'd just not really talk to anybody, just keep his head down and just lift and get in, get out, and kind of very humble guy. He had a little bit of trouble with like understanding the systems, like a little bit. He wasn't the greatest lacrosse player, but I just thought like he was somebody to look up to work ethic wise.
Nice. Matt, what was your experience at the Tips, where you meet different guys, and your experience at the Mounties and Team Calgary? Tell us a little bit about that. And
yeah, well, getting to the Tips and playing against those guys that are like 4 or 5 years older than you, it's a pretty big jump from just going against guys that are a year or two within your age. That was like a big jump. It was playing against 21-year-olds when you're 16, 17. And just like the compete level is so much higher in junior. Just like everybody's always fired up. So the games and the practices, everything's just that much more high intensity, which that high intensity like really let me grow into who I want to be, who I am.
And who were some of the senior guys that helped you be comfortable with the Tips?
So our former captain with the Mounties, actually, Bodie, he was an A in my rookie year. And I'd looked up to him since I played, since I was a red shirt with Team Alberta, actually. And I like to model my game after him and my leadership kind of strategy. Not a whole lot of talking, mostly just leading by example. He really just kind of showed me the ropes without saying a whole lot, and helped me out when I got to A too. He was really a big part of me figuring out our defensive system and just talking me through it every practice and game.
Nice. And so that leads to my next question, and it's for both of you. I'll let you start, Matt. As leaders, how are you going to make sure that the first-year players and affiliate players and guys that are just starting to find their way on the team, how are you going to make them feel welcome? That's something that most teams, I think it's fair to say that in some previous years, the Mounties have been more talented than the Raiders, and the Raiders have been a more cohesive group. What are you guys going to do to make sure that everybody is pulling on the rope the same way and everybody's job is respected where they can give it their best?
Yeah, so we've been in the gym a lot as a team this past 2 years. And I think that's huge for the culture and just building accountability within the individuals on the team. Just grinding at the gym, kind of getting to know each other at the gym is huge for myself personally, just getting to know the younger guys and moving that culture down the line.
Ethan?
So I'd say a big thing is just like, especially for like newer guys coming onto the team, it's just making them feel like welcome, and like talking to them and just kind of asking like what's their story, like what have they done to get here, just kind of like integrate them into the team a little bit and talk to them and make them feel a little bit more comfortable, so they're not like kind of timid, like, oh, I don't know these guys. Like, you got to kind of get to know them, so like you can bring out like the best in them, just so they're not like as scared or unconfident. You want to bring out like something where they feel like this is their family, like this is some people that they could trust. And I feel like that, like having that aspect will bring them up and give them the best opportunity at a shot on this team.
Cool. Yeah, that's you've had a lot of experience as a team leader, even from a young age. You always were either captain or had a letter, and so it's an interesting growth proposition. It's much different than wearing a letter in Pee Wee, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. That was kind of just like a popularity contest back then.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's let Cody talk about what it takes to be a Mountie. I think we really see that these guys have a tremendous work ethic, a tremendous amount of character. And so let's talk to Cody and hear what he looks for in players and the things that he sees that can help you be successful. So please go ahead, Cody.
All right, guys. So I'll just touch on it quickly, kind of my upbringing and kind of how I ended up where I am right now. I'm from Delta, British Columbia. I grew up playing lacrosse at the age of 9. Previous to that, I played soccer, baseball. Wasn't for me. First time I laid someone out in my first football practice, I had to find a summer sport where I could be physical as well. Lacrosse kind of fit the script there. So I never looked back after that. So I played lacrosse and football growing up, both at a pretty high level. I was much better at football than I was lacrosse. Football just kind of came natural to me, being a very good athlete. And then I was always the best athlete in lacrosse, but having to put the skill right on par with it was the tough thing for me, especially when I spent my fall and winters playing football. I didn't really touch my lacrosse stick for the most part. And I think that's kind of the difference nowadays is kids kind of have access to lacrosse all year round. So in high school, grade 12, I got MVP of all British Columbia. I had multiple interests from CIS schools for football, but I wasn't very interested in going to school, to be quite honest. I always knew that I wanted to own a gym and train athletes. And I knew going to school and trying to balance football and school wasn't necessarily the right avenue for me at the time. And then when I was younger, I really wanted to play professional sports too. So I was like, now I'm going to really put my all into lacrosse. So I'd say I started taking lacrosse very seriously at 17, 18 years old, which would be your second, third year junior. Okay. So up till then, I just let my work ethic and my accountability to my teammates and character kind of carry me to that point. That's when I graduated high school, and my mother allowed me to take summers off working. So I had to work all year round other than the summers. I refereed lacrosse and played at a high level and trained by myself and with a trainer for those 3-4 years collectively. In those 3-4 years, in my last 3 years of junior A lacrosse, I won Defender of the Year. My first, second, third year, I served as an assistant captain my first and second year, and as a captain in my third year. All my football teams for 5 years in a row, I was the captain of Team BC in football. So I've always been a leader from a young age. And I think that kind of stems from, I was very similar to Sarge or Ethan. I was pretty small when I was younger. So I always had that chip on my shoulder, very gritty, always trying to prove people wrong. And that kind of allowed me to develop into the player that I was. In my last year at Junior A, I won Defender of the Year of all British Columbia, first team All-Canadian, and was drafted 29th overall to Rochester, who won the championship the year before. I was cut off that team. They won the championship that year. And then I played for the Roughnecks the following year, and they came second in the league. And then I decided to kind of quit lacrosse and step into coaching. My first coaching job was strength and conditioning with the Calgary Shamrocks. I believe that would have been 2016, where they went 19-0 and ended up not doing too well in the playoffs. The following year, I met Joe Viteri, who was the head coach, and he hired me on as a defensive coach. And then I spent 3 years serving as just that, and then got promoted to head coach once the previous coaching staff had stepped down. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Along with coaching, I also work as a bouncer at a bar on weekends to help supplement my income, as I do run a gym. I started that in 2015. I had my son 2017, so I kind of had to take a step back from business and focus on being a father first. So I'm a full-time dad during the days, and then I work at my gym during the evenings. So again, with all that kind of being said, is work ethic is kind of who I am, and what I kind of, pride myself on is taking care of all the hats that I wear, starting with being a father and then taking care of my business and coaching after all that. So what I can kind of touch on for what I look for as a coach and what we are as a team, as you guys can see from the common theme here, is character and culture. I know a lot of coaches preach it, but we live it, and we live it side by side. With me being able to own a gym, I'm also able to bring in my team, and that starts with my kids as soon as they get drafted. I have kids now training with me that are still younger in the bantam midget level, but I'm able to have all my guys together. And that's been huge for the last couple of years as far as building culture goes. And I think every single one of my players can kind of attest to that. And when Gary was speaking of what we do with our younger guys to kind of get them integrated, is I personally just throw them into the Wolves. I bring them to the gym, and they're 16 years old and they're training with 21-year-olds. These kids can squat 160 pounds, and I got several guys squatting over 300 right next to them. So I throw them in with one another on the same squat racks, and they have to work with one another. And it kind of just brings those young guys out of their shell once they realize our older guys they're not dicks. They're not mean at all. They're all very, very, very good young men that come from very good families that have been raised properly, and they bring all those characteristics to the gym, to the practice, to the team events. It doesn't really matter. And now, previous to this happening, our guys they're going out for dinner after, even with young guys, they're eating together, they're, talking to each other. And now I don't feel like there's an age gap on our team. I feel like we're just one cohesive unit. And that's not just our team. Those are guys that still haven't made our team, but they show up to all the events and they work just as hard. And those are the guys that are going to succeed down the road, because not only are they proving to me that it's what they want, they're proving it to their teammates. And I think everybody can understand when you're on a floor, in tough times, when you're looking down the bench and you're sitting next to guys that you've worked your tail off with in the off season, in practices, and their character, and you're not second guessing their character. All you have to worry about is you and your job, and your teammates will take care of their own. And I think that's when I speak culture. I really think that's what culture is believing in one another truthfully, never second guessing your teammate, and always understanding that it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. It doesn't matter where you're playing with us moving forward. The Mounties are going to give you the same game any time of the day. And I think that's really important, that I've made that clear with our players, is that our culture and our compete level always has to be the same. And I think kind of trickling down the line to what makes that culture important outside of the gym and just lacrosse itself is having a good relationship with your coaching staff on top of just your teammates. And another thing I really pride myself on is building those relationships with each individual on the team and on the roster and on the protected list. We have a 50-man protected list. We have 25, 23 guys on our team. So that means 25, 27 guys are protected by us, but aren't playing with us. I still spend time talking to those kids here and there, checking in with them, understanding kind of what makes them tick, understanding their families, how I can motivate these kids down the line, how I keep them motivated down the line, to keep them on the path, even if they're feeling discouraged in their first, second year, if they haven't made the team. And that also, with that being said, by me establishing those relationships, it opens up an avenue for these kids to have somebody to lean on. And as a coach, I think Gary and Al, you guys can agree with this, is being a coach, as a teacher and a parent, is one of the most important roles in the world. And I don't believe that kids understand that we are there for them as much as we think we are. They might not know how available we are to them. And with my kids, they've always felt very good and comfortable talking to me about the worst cases in their lives, as well as boasting about the best cases in their lives. And that goes with parents as well. I get messages from parents all the time saying thank you just for what we do for their kids. But with me, it's a no-brainer because of how important it is to establish these relationships with these kids and be there for them, not just during lacrosse, but past lacrosse. I think it's important that you kids understand that your coaches are there for you for more than just lacrosse. Not only do we want to see you benefit from lacrosse, but we want to see you turn into unbelievable young adults that have great characteristics, that treat, your parents well, that treat strangers well, that treat everybody around you the same because of the character that you've built through sport. So with that being said, it's just moving forward, guys. If there's one thing I could say to you, it's reach out to your coach. If you guys feel like you're struggling with lacrosse or with real life, and you feel like it's something that you can't talk to your parents about, I think coaches are a real non-judgmental role in your life, that you can talk to these men and women about very important things that you might not think you're able to. And again, kind of trickling down from there is everybody matters on our team. And as a teammate for you guys and the team that you're on right now, is being a good teammate means more than just being friends with your immediate group. With Ethan and the Hornets, they grew up, like you said, with Torrin and Benny, same three guys every year. But these guys on our team, they've expanded their friendship outside of that little trio. And now they are able to pull multiple people in from younger ages and be friends with them and not just be in their little bubble. And I think that's where Gary was saying with the Raiders, as they've been more concrete in their will to win, I guess, together is what you can say. That, and where we've differed in the past few years is we've had individuality that has kind of, it's been one goal short 2 years in a row, basically. And that kind of speaks volumes to why I'm kind of setting the standard to where it is now moving forward, because they've led by example these past few years, having gone to 3 Mintos in a row and doing incredibly well. Alberta's not far off competing for that national championship. And I think we're going to get a good sniff at it solely because of the culture that we're building and that the players have bought in. And that starts top down with myself and our board of directors and president, coaching staff, down to our players. But I think it's, you leave no man behind. And the cliche of you're only as strong as your weakest link, I've always truly believed in that. And that's why I, as a coach, spend just as much time grooming my bottom 5 guys as I do my top 5 guys. Not only skill, but as their character. And I'll always rely on my guys that are built on character just as much as I rely on my guys with skill. So yeah, with that being said, guys, is the work ethic that it takes to play at a high level is as simple as I've said before. Any guys that were on my chat last time is showing up, putting in the work, listening, asking questions, and believing in yourself and your teammates is more important than anything.
You said something quite interesting there, the listening part. We talked about this last week with Jess, and as a coach, there's nothing more soul crushing than when you are really trying to help a player achieve more than they currently see themselves doing, and they struggle to listen, and it's very hard for some people, let alone players, to take criticism as constructive. But as a coach, when you're trying to make changes in a player, you're doing it for the player's betterment. What would you tell the guys about, digesting criticism as a tool to better yourself?
So at our level, we kind of have, we're lucky that we're able to film our games and use film as breakdowns. So me as a coach, what I've always tried to do with my players is ask them and hope they can tell me. So with this being said, this is where you guys can ask your coaches questions. I give them 3 avenues of learning. That's on-floor learning, that's chalk talk on a board, so visual learning, and then there's film learning as well. So watching yourself do it and then correcting from there. And I think as players, if you're not understanding what your coach is saying to you, if you're just nodding your head and saying yes, and deep down you're feeling emotions towards the conversation that you're having, and this is what I mean by having a good relationship with your coach, you need to be able to take a deep breath, express yourself, and make your coach understand what it is that's going to help you learn what they're trying to put down. Because a lot of the times, and I mean, there are times where players, you'll just close it off because you don't want to listen. But that kind of attitude and that kind of character is not going to get you any further than minor lacrosse, to be quite honest. Maybe junior B at a low level for you. But if you continue that trend, it's not going to work out for you. So being open to yourself and open to your coach about what it's going to take for you to learn what's being taught to you, and understanding that your coach does truly have your best interest in mind. Because believe it or not, at minor level, your coaches aren't just thinking about winning championships all the time. There are coaches like that, but guys like Alan Gary, their kids are long gone from minor lacrosse, and here they are giving you their everything week in, week out. And these are 2 very busy, successful men with very big families that, that need tending to, but yet they're still here putting in the work for you guys. So if that doesn't show you that these men are here for you, like, I don't know what else will. So, and like I said, if you need to have a chat with yourself or your parents and understand what you need to talk to your coaches about, to understand what they're trying to say, you need to do that. But you need to be willing to be honest with these men without there being a fear of being in trouble or them not understanding you. There's got to be a middle ground. Just because they're adults and you guys are young kids, that doesn't mean you can speak eye to eye on the same level about the topic of your development, because your guys' opinion and beliefs of yourself are just as important as their belief in you and the avenue they're trying to give you to be successful. So I think it's kind of getting to that middle ground of having that relationship and being comfortable with your coach to let them know when you are not understanding what they're trying to put down. You guys got to kind of find that bridge the gap, if you'd say.
So when you're drafting, which is more important, skill or character?
Character.
Which is more important, confidence or the ability to listen?
Ability to listen. Because I think confidence will trickle down from them doing the right things over time. Once things start clicking, that's where confidence comes from.
Highly specialized skills or the ability to do multi-jobs?
I think I give guys roles, so guys don't have to second guess what their role is on the team. Like, I'm not asking Matty McKee to go up and play on the O end. This is a tough, hard-nosed defender that plays hard on the bottom end of our defense, scoops loose balls, hits very hard, will fight anybody in the league. Like these are just like I'm not asking him to do anything special. I'm not asking Ethan Olson to get back on defensive transition. I'm not asking Ethan to score a hat trick a game. I'm asking Ethan to get 5 offensive rebounds for those extra possessions. I'm asking him to go on the draw team and get 5 loose balls there on extra possessions, and all these little things accumulate to team success. And I think me, again, with having a good relationship with my players, is that I'm able to tell them what their role is. And if there's a conversation that needs to be had, then we'll have that conversation. But they have enough trust in me as their coach that I am putting them in their correct role for the team's success.
So talking about that, Ethan is a highly talented guy. He is an offensive player. He does a lot of great stuff out there. But there are players who come that have had great success scoring goals, and it's a different game in Junior A. How important is it that they embrace what they're given, and if and how do you work them to get to the part of the game that they may like to?
I think like once they have to find success in the role that's given to them, and I've seen a handful, and not everybody's always going to be on board. You know, if you had 25 guys that were on board in every aspect of the game and on the team, you'd be winning left, right, and center. But it's guys that easily get discouraged, and I think that's kind of speaking on Maddie's upbringing. Is being discouraged is not going to get you where you want to go whatsoever. And it's kind of having that mentality. And I think this is a big part to do with parenting, is your kid continuing to show up and just do their job. Bill Belichick, the Patriots head coach, that's kind of his go-to line, is do your job. And you have to be willing to be on the bad end of something, whether you're in your first, second, third year, and you're not in the role that you see yourself in your 5th year. And not necessarily is your role going to be the same in your 2nd year as it's going to be in your 5th year. For instance, I traded away our best offensive player last year for 2 character kids that are younger. Why did I do this? Was because Ethan was going to then step up from like a 3rd guy on the depth chart on the left hand into a 2nd guy, if not the 1st guy. With that being said, the reason why I did that was because I have all the faith in the world that Ethan can go from a 1 goal a game guy to a 2 or 3 goal a game guy, and our offense can accumulate just as many goals together as this one guy did by himself that I traded away, because I traded away talent for character. So, and that's what I mean by I back up what I talk about, because I'm not scared to say it, is that I don't care how many goals you score. I don't care what you did in minor. It's if you're going to buy into the team, and if you're going to do your job and commit to your role, you will find success. But it's having trust and faith in your coaching staff that we're putting you in the best position possible to succeed, and not giving up and not allowing yourself to be discouraged in the process.
The Mounties have a great example of that. And I think you might have been part of his last year, possibly. And that's Lyndon Bunio, who again was an undrafted guy, has one of the highest point per game total in RMLL, and plays professionally for the Warriors and I believe the Salmon Bellies in the West. Did you have any time with Lyndon?
Oh yeah, I had him in his first year, and I still to this day talk to Lyndon periodically. So, and I mean that this is a kid who, and he's a brainiac. This man is very, very, very smart. He's going to be a very successful young man, but this kid's character is, he's the funniest kid in the room. He works the hardest. He's not a gym rat by any means, but he was always willing to do the dirty things. And in Junior B, he was lights out for the chill. And then when he came Junior A, he kind of took a back seat in his 2nd to last year. And then his 5th year, he just flourished. And that was able to kind of get him out to BC and New West. And he didn't get drafted to the NLL. He went to the WLA, played 2 seasons there alongside Mitch Jones and Logan Schuss, who play professionally for the Warriors, who were also my teammates growing up from Delta. And Lyndon played, exceptional beside them in the role he was given. Lyndon was not a goal scorer for them, but he was meant to get these guys open and make the most of the small opportunities that he got with the ball in his stick. And he never let up. He loves the game. And I think that's kind of the key to Lyndon is he loves lacrosse and he's willing to do whatever it is to be a part of the team and with the boys. And that turned out to getting him signed undrafted to Vancouver. Made the team, and because of an injury, he was able to get in there and play quite a few games last year and score some big goals. And seeing a kid like that, I think that's kind of the common theme with Alberta kids right now is without winning a Minto championship is the only way to the next level is your character, your work ethic, and your ability to not give up, and have passion and love for the game.
Hey, Hawk. So we've got a bunch of, we've got some Pee-wee kids, some Bantams, and there's a couple midget kids, I think, looking in today too. And they would like to make your team. What advice give them as a, say a Bantam or a Pee-wee kid? What skills should they, and you guys have talked a little bit about, we've got a very, very strong defender, and we've got a very, very strong offensive player too. Should these guys, do you think, or do you want them to start specializing now? Could you maybe comment on that?
I'll talk on my own. So my first year Pee-wee, I played house lacrosse. Okay. So my first year Pee-wee, I played C. I was the captain of that team though. That was when we used to wear the big tape C's. We didn't get them stitched on at that age. So my next year I tried out for Pee-wee just because I I'm very competitive. I was competitive. My kid's 3 years old and he's competitive. It's just in the blood. But when I went to that tryout, my head coach, Frank Nose, who I still talk to, one of our teammates' dads passed away recently. We went to the funeral and our Pee-wee coach showed up unannounced. And again, that just kind of goes to show what the sport can do and the relationships that are built. So talking to him, when I got my head coaching job, he was the first guy I called to say thank you. Because in my second year at Pee-wee, he had a conversation with me and my mom. We took 18 guys. The 18th spot, he told my mom, your son can make this spot as the 18th player, or he can go play B and be the best player on the team. And my mom looked at me and it said, your decision. I said, I'm playing A. So I went on that team. I was the 18th player. And through that team, me and Mitch Jones, who's in the league, outside of all those players, the two of us were the only ones to go play past junior, play in the WLA, and play professional. Year after year, I was kind of bullied at that age as well. Like we went to the island one time and my teammates hid my stick from me and I cried and wanted to go home from Victoria because I thought my teammates, hated me. But things like that just kind of fired me up because I was like, these guys are no better than me. Those two guys ended up being my best friends in high school, mind you. But I think I kind of got their respect through the sport and not giving up. And I ended up taking their jobs. So then I played A every year after that. I played a couple year of A2 in Bantam, and then I played A1 past that. I was never thinking about junior lacrosse. I was never thinking about university lacrosse. I was never focused on anything other than having fun, competing, working hard, trying to win games, trying to win championships, and just be a hell of a teammate because sports to this day is what makes my blood run. That's why I love the gym. That's why I love sport. That's why I love everything about it is because it's kind of helped shape my life. At that age, I was in track, I was in football, lacrosse, basketball. And I think that was really important to making me the athlete that I am and allowing me to have fun playing the sport. Because I think that's a big thing that I'm finding with like the burnout of these kids is playing too much lacrosse or having too much access to lacrosse or having too much pushed on you at a young age. I know we're sitting here talking to you guys and we want you to want to play junior A lacrosse and this and that, but I just want you guys to know, like, if you have fun and you don't lose your fire and you stay passionate and you build relationships with your teammates and friendships, it'll come naturally to you over time. And if you really want it, you're going to go get it. And I think that's important for you guys to understand, is like, this isn't a one-way street. It's not if you don't go this way, you're going to fail. Like, perfect situation here with Ethan and Maddie is Maddie's not going to university and playing lacrosse. He wants to go play WLA because he knows that lacrosse, he won't be getting paid for it, but it's something that he wants to do for a long period of time because he loves the game. Ethan went because scholastics, he wanted to get academics. He wanted to get a degree that's going to further him in life. And lacrosse was just an avenue to help him get there. And that got him money to go to school. That's then going to turn into a career full of money and opportunity just from the game of lacrosse. But without the love of the game, Ethan wouldn't be getting up for 5 a.m. lifts and writing six-page papers the same day. Right. And I think that's what you guys need to understand, like, big time, is just have fun with it, show up, don't overthink too much, and don't set these high ceilings for yourself at a young age, and everything will work out if it was meant to work out. And I just want to touch on this real quickly, is like, for players, is I don't think you guys understand how important everything that you do is to your parents, and them watching you play lacrosse is equally as important to the feeling that you have playing it, and other sports. And, you know, how special it is as a family to be able to share sport. For me, that was my whole life. And lacrosse kind of got weird for me when I was playing in front of, 10,000 plus people, and not one of them was my parent, So, don't take things for granted, and make sure that you guys understand the sacrifices that your parents are making for you guys to have the opportunity that you have right now.
So I'll start with Matt and Ethan. Best lacrosse memory. Matt, what's your best lacrosse memory?
So far is getting called up to for Game 6 and Game 7 in 2018 to play with the Mounties.
Ethan?
I have a couple best lacrosse memories. I'd probably say, like, some of my better ones was when I was younger, and, like, we'd go up to Edmonton for a tournament, and just all the guys would be in the pool or something, playing with a ball, and just kind of everybody's together, like, just like doing team stuff, like, outside of lacrosse. And, like, those are, like, the best memories that I make too. But they go along with like winning and stuff too. Like, that just brings everybody together, like, even that much more. Because like that now, like, even when you're younger, like, maybe the goal wasn't to win, but like now in like junior A and stuff, our goal is to win a national championship in the Minto. So
Maddie, what do you got?
What?
You're with your favorite memory in lacrosse.
Oh, getting called up for Minto.
Oh yeah, you went already. Yeah.
Go ahead, Hawk.
My favorite memory. I got lots. We had 3 bench brawls in one season in intermediate. That was pretty exciting. I'd say for me in Delta, I don't know if anybody knows where Delta is, but we're a very small town and we don't got a lot of kids to pick from. So our whole team was built. I'm a 91, born in 1991. We had 9 guys out of my age group on our last year of junior A. And like I said, not many of us were like as crazy talented as the Coquitlam New West, but we were built off culture. All the parents in our community are longshoremen, mechanics, firefighters, like very blue collar. Whereas moving to Calgary, all the parents out here are, make pretty good money compared to what our families did out there. So our culture was that of we're going to work harder than you. So collectively in my last 3 years of junior, Delta had never made the playoffs. So when I was 18, 19, 20, were progressively the 3 best years. So my rookie year was the best year. And then the next year we had a better year. And then our third year, we made the BC finals and lost in the finals. But needless to say, it was, it kind of changed the culture there. They ended up making the Minto 3 years past that. And they lost in the Minto, but nonetheless, we kind of set the the standard for them, that they could believe that they were good enough, that players wanted to be traded to Delta, that people wanted to play there. Now the culture has kind of shifted again, because there's been a kind of mishaps in the higher ups of the organization. But I took a lot of pride being a part of the progressively the 3 best years, and making it a place for younger kids to play. And I think that's what we're trying to do for the Mounties, is make it so you young guys want to play with us, and look forward to playing with us, and dream about playing with us. Because when I was playing junior lacrosse, man, like that is one big memory that I have, that was the best 3 years of my life, and shaped me for the rest of my life. So,
does anybody have any questions?
Cruz, you got a question? Can they type in here?
Yeah, you got a little type bar somewhere. Oh yeah, chat. You just go to like the top right.
Yeah. There's a chat spot if you have a question, if you want to chuck it in. I just sent one out to start it. Lots of shy guys today, which is okay. All right. So, Cody, we asked this question of the coaches of Jesse last week. You guys talk quite a bit with the Tier 1 coaches, and do you recommend the graduating midgets to go to all floor times?
I recommend that you guys go to as many floor times that is healthy for you as your body and your mind. I don't believe that you should be going to 2 junior A floor times, 3 junior B floor times, and taking care of your schoolwork and working out all in 1 week. And this starts with open conversations. I personally, if I don't see a player being an impact player in his first year with us, I will lead him to be more involved with his junior B Tier 1 team, because I have trust in those junior B Tier 1 coaches that they will take care of his development. And I've also built relationships with the junior B coaches that I can let them know where I see players, where they stand in our 5-year program, and where they're going to make, what year they're going to be an impact in. And then we can work together developing them. So again, like I said, with your coaches, is being open and honest about what's best for you. So not being scared. And when you guys get to my level, do not be scared of me. I know a lot of guys are intimidated by me on the floor just right off the bat, but as my own players can tell you, I'm not like that. You guys can talk to me about anything. So if you guys are nervous about missing floor times, if it might impact you with me, just talk to me, talk to your junior B coaches. We're on the same page, because we want what's best for you, and I don't want to overwork you. So, I mean, there's two different, I don't read that part of what Jesse said, but that's my philosophy on it.
Yeah. Should I just answer it with my, I don't really want to type that, but.
Just,
how big was the step from going from the NCAA to playing, or from playing Alberta? Well, I'd say that you do have a lot of preparation, like leading up to it, for sure. Like you have a whole 3 months of fall ball of playing with your team and exhibition guys, or exhibition games, not guys. So you get a pretty good idea of what it's going to be like, and like the way that it integrates you into the NCAA from playing in Alberta. Like they do a pretty well job of that too, and like even like playing in Alberta, like playing junior A, like I wouldn't say that the level has changed too much from playing in like a Division II field of things too. Like maybe that'd be a question for like Kyle or somebody to maybe discuss like what it's like going to Division I.
Yeah. And you've got to remember, Ethan is a top player, and he worked hard to get himself on the field as well. And, you know, you've got to do the work, but Ethan is a special player. So he's not dominating yet where he is, but I think that all of the coaches on this call know that it can come. He can absolutely do that. Another question from Jacob, and I'll give it to the two players and the coach. What NLL player did you look up to growing up?
John Grant Jr., definitely.
I just looked up to all those Roughnecks defenders growing up, but right now, like, it's kind of Derek Lloyd, one of the previous Mounties guys, Zach Courier, Roughnecks guy. I look up to those guys a lot, try to model my game after them.
Hawk?
I'm a little bit older than these guys, so Chris Gill and Dan Stroop were two guys that I really enjoyed watching. I was able to watch WLA as well, being from the coast, so watch those guys play in the summer leagues as well. My mom always brought me to those games. And also Andrew McBride, who's the GM and previous head coach of the Raiders. He's from Delta, my hometown. So just kind of knowing that you could get to that high level being from a small town like this, that was important to me to kind of make it achievable, knowing that he got there from a small town. Even though he didn't play for Delta, he played for New West, Trader.
Question from Brent. Cody, what was the biggest step? Midget to junior, junior to senior, or senior to NLL?
I honestly don't think I played up like junior. So we have intermediate back home when I was playing. So when I was 16, 17, but I played up both those years, junior. And I don't think there was a massive challenge for me because I was very tenacious and gritty, and I like to accept the challenge of playing against the bigger guys. But I guess the thing you could say was guys were bigger, but that never really occurred to me because I didn't really, judge guys off their size. I just outwork them in the corners. Junior to senior, though, that was a massive jump, and that was IQ. The way they play the game is very technically sound. Every player on the offensive end, if there's eight guys on the offensive end, all 8 of those guys can put the ball in the net. Whereas in junior, you can kind of key off on 2-3 guys that are able to score. So that was pretty tough. And senior to the NLL is just the size of the floor was just ridiculous. Like when you're playing in the barns that we play in, and then you step out in the Saddle Dome or, the Rocks Arena, like those, it's just big. It's big and it's a lot of floor to cover, and you got to really get up and down the floor if you want to hang with those boys.
There's a question from Jude. How long did it take to get where you are? And, I'll let each of you answer that, but I think the real thing is it's a day at a time.
Yeah, 29 years it took me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I'll speak first. I mean, for me, I was really active when I was young, but I'd say around the age of, I want to say 12 is when I really started like training for sports. I started getting to the not weights, but I started training when I was 13 and then got in the weight room when I was 14. So I've been in the gym for 15 years now. And I think that was when I really started taking things seriously and diving into developing myself. So I'd say you got to be looking at the 10-year mark for yourself to kind of get to an elite level.
And there's Matt or Ethan, have you got something to add to that?
I wouldn't really look at it as how long it's taken me to get to where I am, because everything's kind of just like planned out by years. I'd say more it's like, what did it take? And it took a lot of like working out and just going as hard as I could in every little aspect of my life, like whether it's school or lacrosse or going to the gym, like just like every little thing, like just try and do it to the best of your ability. And that's where you'll find success in life outside of lacrosse, and within lacrosse, it's just like doing everything to the best you can. Like even playing a board game or something, like you want to try and be the best you can, or just like, you know what I mean? Just like every little thing,
Yeah, I'd agree with Sarge there. It's just kind of the effort rather than the time.
Yeah. And then Jacob, has a question that'll be more appropriate next year. It said, how did it feel to win
That's
the
right.
Maryville Cup? And we haven't won it yet, but Ethan and Matt and Cody will tell you next year at this time.
That's right.
Okay.
Al, you got anything?
Or Tate.
You know what, fellas, you know what, I really liked your answer about not focusing on getting to a specific spot. I think, you know what, just working hard on day-to-day things, doing the best that you can for each day-to-day thing. School, you mentioned, every sport that you play in, all those things. So I thought that was a fantastic answer. You know what, I love that attitude, fellas. I think that's awesome.
You guys got anything to say in closing?
Tate just had a question here for me, asking why I chose lacrosse over football. And that was because I wanted to play professional. And in BC, we play American rules in high school. I also played community, so I played Canadian and American rules. And I kind of played with the idea of going to the States and playing football for JUCO and then trying to transfer to a D2 school. But, you know, after a lot of talks with my mom and dad, was kind of what's realistic was I didn't want to play in the CFL. I didn't want to play Canadian rules. I didn't love it. I don't love the rules. So to play professional sports, lacrosse was I like box lacrosse more than I like Canadian football. Let's put it that way. So it was kind of, I could go either way. And I just chose lacrosse, but overall, I always knew that my calling was going to be coaching and training athletes for a career. So it didn't really matter what sport I chose. They were just both out of passion and love for the game. And now I get to fill that void with getting my kids to the next level.
Nice. Anything in closing? Any last questions? Well, thank you guys very much for your time. Really appreciate it. You know, two really fine young men and a tremendous coach shared the time today, and really appreciate that. Do you think there will be a season? I personally think that there will be. What do you guys think?
I think so.
Yep.
Well, there better be, or I'll start one in my backyard.
I'm with you there. Well, thank you guys very much, and have a great holiday season, and cannot express how thankful we are that you two fellas and Coach Cody came.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care, guys.
Great message, fellas. Loved hearing from you. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. And talking about the season upcoming, you know what? Me and Gary and Marie and Crystal are already working on getting floor times for this group to get you guys on the floor in January. We've started booking times, so as soon as the government lifts restrictions, we'll be on the floor, and we'll get you guys with sticks in your hands and get you working again or playing. And like I said, and if that doesn't work out, I think we're all going to Hawk's backyard, I think is the plan.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Al. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you, fellas.
See you.